Today on Ag Etc. I visit with Russ Brown, owner of the Western store RBRB in Topeka. Learn about the history of their family-ran store and the changes they've experienced due to COVID-19. Then I visit with this week's Young Leader in Ag. Then there's reports of increase in rat activity in urban settings during the pandemic. I visit with Charlie Lee, wildlife specialist at Kansas State University, over what researchers discovered upon looking into that. Finally, I visit with K-State wheat disease specialist Kelsey Anderson about the just-released K-State 2020 Wheat Variety Disease and Insect Rating Report, a comprehensive guide on variety resistance to the prominent diseases that commonly attack wheat stands in Kansas. It's all coming up on Ag Etc. Stay tuned.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. I'm Britton Rucker, and today I'm in Topeka, Kansas, visiting RBRB.
I am Russ with RBRB here in Topeka. A little history, a little background on us would be we've officially been here at this location since 1998. Prior to that, we had a mobile type store. Started when I was actually in college and went on from there. I do a lot of saddle and tack repair. That's kind of what got us started. Saddles definitely was our beginning, and from there it morphed on. We did work for the rodeo team and stuff there at K-State. Put myself through K-State doing that kind of stuff. Have a animal science degree with a business minor, and which kind of makes good sense for what I do. And then in 1998, with the birth of our first child, Paige, we decided we want to do something that would keep us a little closer to home. I still worked in town. My wife quit her job in town. And we officially opened in July of 1998 here in this location, which you can't tell from what we're looking at here. Started in the front in a little 20 by 50 building, and we now encompass about 10,000 square feet of tack and saddles and equipment and boots and clothes and hats and so on and so forth. And so we're 22 years now, and I've been here full time as well with my wife. And here you go, worked 17 different little jobs here and there and yonder to keep going, and while we were building this, and this has been it since then.
And RBRB is way more than just a tack store.
So we are pretty widespread as far as what we have to offer. We have obviously saddles is kind of that's my thing anyhow. That's kind of my passion. But we have saddles, we have tack, we have anything for your horse. We've had several taglines through the year. Your source for everything horse. RBRB Western is a way of life, and but it's all that. It's boots, belts, hats, clothes, jeans. Toys, farm toys, kids toys. We sell trailers, we sell feed, panels, gates, roping supplies, trucks, trailers, you name it, whatever it takes. UTVs, we've got into selling UTVs now too. So it seems like the world we live in today, it's a little hard to be pinpointed like we used to be able to. And so you kind of got to diversify and roll with the punches.
And how has RBRB been affected by COVID?
I think if anything, we've seen an increase in portions of our business, not all of our business, but portions of our business. I think people have rediscovered, or they've maybe revisited some things that used to make them happy, and then life got in the way. And it didn't, it wasn't that it didn't make them happy, they didn't have time for it to make them happy. And so I think that being able to find some time in their life, they've revisited old Bucky out back that they haven't rode in 4 years. Or or we're even seeing it in the camping and fishing, every aspect of outdoor activity. It seems like they're reconnecting with, I'd call it grassroots things that they used to do, that used to mean something. Families are sitting down around the table having dinner, talking about things. I guess maybe I'm a little bit of an optimist, but I really feel like there's some positive things that have happened as well.
When we come back, we'll have more with Russ at RBRB here on Ag AM in Kansas.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back to Ag Etc. I'm back with RBRB owner Russ Brown about the best sellers at the store due to COVID-19. And if you're curious what's been the best sellers at RBRB, Russ says it involves all things horse.
Saddle sales have been really strong. We've also seen repairs, so that's kind of an odd thing. But because of what we were just talking about, people that maybe go catch old Bucky out of the back pen. Oh man, I didn't realize my halter was that bad, or my lead rope was that bad, or my saddle was that bad, or my pad, or So I need to get that fixed or replaced, whatever the case may be. So I'd say we've seen anything horsey, has been solid. So we are here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5:30, and Saturdays from 8 to 5. Pretty much year round. We don't alter much. We just, obviously we close for Thanksgiving, we close for Christmas and things like that, but we don't alter our hours very much. We've thought about doing winter and summer hours, but it's easier just to stay constant. We do have Facebook. We do a lot of stuff on Facebook, a lot of videos, we have a lot of fun. We enjoy what we do. So that's a lot of fun. We do Facebook, we have an Instagram account, and a little bit of Snapchats here and there. We enjoy what we do, and man, we've got some great clientele.
For Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Britton Rucker.
No one plans to get sick or injured, but when life happens, it's important you and your family are protected. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans are there to provide continued health care coverage to meet your needs. Choose from a broad range of individual and family plans. And if you're over 65, we have options for you too. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to Western Kansas.
This segment brought to you by Farm Credit Associations of Kansas, lending support to rural America, and by American Ag Service, your DuPont Pioneer dealer.
Welcome back to Ag AM in Kansas. I'm Britton Rucker. We're back with our Young Leaders in Ag segment, and with me now I have this week's featured Young Leader in Ag, Noah Ochsner. Welcome, Noah.
Hi, thanks for having me, Britton.
Noah, give us a little insight to your ag background.
So I grew up in Tribune, Kansas, in Greeley County, which happens to be the least populated county in the state of Kansas. But I graduated from Greeley County High School in 2018. Growing up in Greeley County, naturally you grew up a lot around agriculture. We're home to a lot of production agriculture facets. My family was involved in agriculture. I had the chance to work on a farm in Greeley County throughout high school, and that's kind of what brought me into agriculture, was being able to work on another person's farm in that county and really learning about what goes into agriculture. And that's kind of what led me to choose to study agriculture at K-State. So
yeah, and going into that, why did you choose to attend Kansas State University?
I chose to attend K-State because obviously we're a world-renowned land-grant university in the United States. We have some of the nation's best agricultural programs. And when I decided I wanted to study agriculture, it was a question of why not K-State. Being able to stay in Kansas and receive a world-renowned education right here at home, and then being able to put that to use in Kansas is really something that I like. And also K-State's idea of global agriculture is really important to me. You know, not only understanding what's going on here in Kansas, but understanding what's happening around the country and around the country and the world, which is something that was really important to me, being able to take that knowledge and put it to use in my future career. And also just being able to call Manhattan home for a few years has been really fun. I know that there's always a lot that goes on, but truly Manhattan's a special place, and it's always just great to be able to live here.
Absolutely. And Noah, you've had some pretty extraordinary internship opportunities. Go into that.
Yeah, I've had some great opportunities. I think one thing that also K-State it's really great about is you can have internship opportunities right here in Manhattan, especially if you're studying agriculture. For 2 years now, I've been interning with Kansas Farm Bureau, where I'm at today, here in Manhattan. We're at our state headquarters. I'm an intern in the Communications and Marketing Division. I host a radio program called Farm Weekend, and then our podcast called Inside Ag that I help create for the organization. And that's been an amazing opportunity. Farm Bureau is the state's largest advocacy organization, and being able to have connections in 105 counties is something it's a great takeaway, with great people that are amazing to work with. And then also I've been able to intern with KSNT News on the other side of media out of Topeka, Kansas, and really being able to work with them has been great to learn what the news media side of communications looks like. And then last year and into this year, I was hired on as a multimedia journalist, specifically covering Manhattan. So being able to cover breaking news and telling the story of Manhattan has been something that's really cool. Being able to tell stories in the community that I live in and cover things that are going on here has been something interesting to learn with. And being able to do two at the same time is something I never imagined as possible, but it is. So being able to do that right where I live is great.
Yeah. And Noah, you got to dip your toe into different forms of media. Going into the future, where do you see yourself?
Not really sure. I originally started at KSNT with the intention of not really sure where it was going to lead, but I've had some incredible opportunities there. We're owned by Nexstar Media Group, so being able to have opportunities to connect with other people in the Nexstar system around the country, while having a background in agriculture, has also really helped me, because I'm also able to understand when we're reporting on something, what the consumers need to understand about an issue. Being able to take that background of saying, here's what people in the agriculture industry care about and what people and normal consumers in Kansas care about, and here's how we make them care about it, is something that I've been able to take away from that experience. So in the future, I really see myself either staying in communications or higher education, and trying to just help consumers understand what's going on in agriculture to the best of my ability. And really, I think that all comes back to my upbringing in rural America, is just being able to understand the issues that affect them and being able to create a voice for that and help the rest of the public understand that. So I definitely see myself doing something like that in the future.
Yeah. And last question, Noah, what advice would you give someone wanting to be in your position and potentially becoming a young leader in ag?
Definitely just take every opportunity you can. I mean, I think we put a lot of pressure on I was just talking to someone about this morning. I think we put a lot of pressure on high school students to know what they're going to do in the future, and you definitely don't have to. I mean, when I was graduating high school, I thought I was going to study, I thought I was going to be pre-med, and I'm not. I study agriculture communications at K-State, which is something completely different. So I think really just going with the flow and doing what you really like and finding what you like and being passionate about it.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Welcome back to Ag 80 in Kansas. I'm Britton Rucker. One K-State wildlife specialist reports increase in rat activity in urban settings during the pandemic, and what researchers discovered upon looking into that. And the wildlife specialist is with me now speaking more on this, Charlie Lee. Welcome, Charlie.
Good morning.
Charlie, we'll get into why this topic is in the spotlight in a second, but shed some light on the background of urban rats.
Well, rats have been a problem species for many years. They're very closely aligned with human populations. We not only have the feed loss from the agricultural community, we also have the health risk with disease. And when you put those in a community that is tightly packed with people, those risks then increase. When we look at the scope of that problem, we know that rats consume enough feed to feed about 350 families each, 350 million families each year. So that's a considerable amount of production that's consumed by rats. That doesn't even include the amount that is contaminated by their fecal material and urine that is then destroyed or used in other manners.
And Charlie, there's actually a new study revolving around these rats during the pandemic. What was discovered here?
Well, it was interesting in that they looked at rat populations through the coronavirus pandemic and found that the populations of rats and the number of complaints varied depending upon the location. University of Tokyo, Fordham University, and the University of British Columbia were involved in this particular study and found that the rodent populations or the number of complaints, if you use that as a reflection of rodent populations, decreased by 30% in New York City and increased by 25% in Tokyo. Try to figure out, really why that occurred. The pest control companies in New York City seem to think that their typical food service clients were no longer reporting rodent problems, and that's probably to be expected since some of those were shut down and would no longer be people on the premise to complain about rats, but that their clientele shifted to more suburban areas where perhaps people were at home more frequently and were observing more rats than what they had expected.
So how do we need to manage these urban rats?
Well, for all wildlife species, I like to follow the acronym HER. H would stand for habitat modification. Can we modify the habitat to take away the things that the rats find useful in that particular area? That would be food, cover, or water. So we want to restrict those, which puts the rodent population under more of a stress. The next would be exclude them. If they're getting into structures, then we need to figure out how they're getting in and close those structures up, tighten it up so that rodents don't have access. Then we need to remove the rodents that are on the inside. Then you know you're dealing with a known population. You're not dealing with an unknown number of rodents. And typically on inside of structures, I almost always recommend the use of traps rather than the use of rodenticides. Rodenticides are great products. You have some concern and risk with using those, but typically they're better suited to be outside rather than in a structure.
Absolutely. And Charlie, where can people find more information on this urban rat issue during the pandemic?
I have a publication on house mice and rats, a more recent one on house mice. Many of the control techniques would be similar, and I would suggest they just look at my website, which is wildlife.ksu.edu, or any of the other universities around the nation would have good information on rodent control.
Absolutely. And as this weather is getting colder, I'm sure people will be visiting your site.
Well, as it gets colder, many of the rodents are seeking that cover for structure, for thermal protection. And they typically in the fall, we have an increase in the number of complaints about rodents getting into dwellings.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
These days, no one can afford to take the risk of being without financial protection against high health care costs, not even for a few days. Kansas Farm Bureau health plans offer short-term health care coverage to fill in those temporary gaps. Short-term health plans can provide you with medical coverage when you are between health plans, helping lower your potential financial risk. Learn more at kfbhealthplans.com or contact a Farm Bureau financial services agent near you.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Welcome back to Ag Etc. I'm Britton Rucker. And for you wheat producers, K-State has just released the 2020 Wheat Variety Disease and Insect Rating Report, a comprehensive guide on variety resistance to the prominent diseases that commonly attack wheat stands in Kansas. And walking me through this report, I have with me now K-State Wheat Disease Specialist, Kelsey Anderson. Welcome, Kelsey.
Hi, thanks for having me. So this wasn't a major epidemic year in terms of just some years we have major blowouts where we'll have really bad fusarium head blight or really bad wheat streak mosaic, and we'll lose a lot of acres to those diseases. But we did have a good amount of stripe rust throughout the state. So we had reports that started in central Kansas in late April, and we had reports all throughout most of the counties in the state. Although it remained at trace levels, particularly out west and in most fields in northwest Kansas. So stripe rust is one that we're continuing to watch. We've started to have a race shift where a lot of the varieties that have been traditionally resistant to the races of stripe rust we have here in the Great Plains are starting to lose some of that resistance. So that was really what concerned us with stripe rust this year. Other than striped rust, we had sporadic reports of fusarium head blight. So we did have the right conditions, at least leading into flowering, for fusarium head blight in central and especially southeast and south central Kansas. And we did see a number of fields, but we think that this dry window that we had right after that flowering period might have saved us just a little bit, some of the losses we could have had, given that wet period during flowering. There were several places where we had a good amount of septoria leaf spot and tan spot, so some of those foliar fungal diseases that really like a lot of moisture in the canopy. And so that was one thing that popped up in sporadic places that contributed to some losses. And then on the viral side of things, we had reports of barley yellow dwarf and some patches where we had pretty severe wheat streak mosaic. So we're going to remind people now especially that this is the moment to really be managing that volunteer wheat to make sure we keep those levels low going into next season.
Now, Kelsey, I really want to dive into how this report is put together.
Sure, yeah. So we have annually we've put together this wheat and insect rating guide, and it's been part of the publication series here at Kansas State for many years. And what I think makes this report so unique is that we really pull in data from many different sources. And really a lot of it is data that we collect throughout the year, going to variety demo plots, going to our variety performance trials. We have our own internal screens, and we bring all of that data together and can really give the most accurate information about how any given variety will respond to the disease pressure we have here in Kansas. So sometimes you'll see those numbers won't exactly line up with what potentially a company is advertising, and that's because this data is coming directly out of Kansas. So I think that's what makes this publication so unique and such a valuable tool that we can use going into planting, to really select those varieties that have some defensive traits.
Absolutely, and going right into that, it truly is important to sort of cross-reference your selections that you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to make sure that you're doing your homework and you're looking at each of those variety disease traits, and then also looking at some of the agronomic traits. So standability is really an important one, maturity. So all of that information is there. And this is a great tool that we can use side by side with those variety performance trial results. So we want to take a look at some of the yield results, and then we want to go and dig deeper into some of those disease ratings.
For people who are interested in this report, where can they access it?
Sure, yep. So this report is available here at the Kansas State bookstore. There's a link to it. There's also a link on our website in the plant pathology department. If you go to the extension tab, I think it's probably easiest if you just Google it, K-State Disease and Insect Rating Guide 2020, and all of that will lead to the most up-to-date version.
Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for being on the program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I'm Britton Rucker, and this has been Ag AM in Kansas. Thanks for watching Ag Etc. As always, I'm Britton Rucker, and I'll see you here next week here on Ag AM in Kansas.